To almost everyone living outside of the US, America is possibly the greatest country in the world. But the big American dream is actually a scam. We've been tricked into thinking that the US is number one in almost everything, while we don't see the failing government, healthcare, and educational system. Here are some obvious signs you've missed that show that America is not the greatest country in the world after all. Major health crisis. Ordinarily, when you take a critical look at the United States with all its military might and advanced economy, you will have the impression that the United States is the health tourism capital of the world. But sorry, the United States is not. In fact, it has the least healthcare insurance for its citizens when compared to other developed countries. Place the healthcare system of this land of the free besides that of Canada, France, Britain, and Germany, and it doesn't look so mighty. You've been shocked to know that tens of millions of people in the US don't have health insurance. The worst part? It doesn't look like the figures will drop anytime soon. Bias in the criminal justice system. Part of the slogan of the United States is liberal society, where everyone can live the American dream. But would you believe us if we told you that the United States is the prison capital of the world? Right now, the number of African Americans cooling their heels behind bars is way more than the number of those enslaved in the 1850s. Despite the US making up only 5% of the world's population, it houses 25% of the world's prisoners. This is a huge figure that is even higher than what you would find in some countries seen as a repressive state. Let's put this into perspective. 700 out of every 100,000 people in the United States are either in prison or on their way to jail. Not the best place to get an education. Several years ago, anyone looking to school abroad won't want to apply to any of the colleges available all around the 50 states in the US. However, that's not the same today. America is not a top-ranked country when it comes to the number of students interested in schooling abroad. Americans themselves are not too keen on going to college either. Since the thought of being in a higher education of learning is not as such a big deal anymore, it's obvious that this once strong institution is falling apart. The United States is not only on the top 11 lists of countries around the world with a robust educational system. This is a sorry development for a country that was once the brain capital of the world. Vast income inequality. Yes, the United States is the greatest economy in modern history and the biggest spender in military and donation across the world. However, back home, the story is not the same, as there is a wide gap between the haves and the have-nots in the country. For instance, in the 1980s, the bottom 50% of Americans had an average income of close to $16,000. And unfortunately, it's not getting any better. An average American earns close to $10 hourly, which shows that for every 40 hours paid weekly, the paycheck would be around $370 minus taxes. When we add that up and we give an average of $19,240 yearly, and here's the reality. Over the last 4 decades, the annual income of the bottom 50% of Americans have been constant while the upper class of the American society continues to experience huge turnover year over year. Not the best place to live in. No doubt many people around the world dream of setting their feet on US soil at some point in their lives. That does not mean the United States is the best place or happiest place to live. In fact, that spot belongs to Norway. It's quite surprising that as of 2016, the US occupied a distant 14th position on the list of happiest countries to live in. This position is extremely disappointing for a country that touts itself as the entertainment capital of the world. Low life expectancy. If you're planning to live a long and fulfilling life, the United States is not the country you should be heading to. Shocking, isn't it? This has a lot to do with the crime rate and the prevalence of chronic diseases in the country. Many Americans know at least one person battling cancer or diabetes. There's also effect of stress on the body, as most people work long hours to keep up with bills, mortgage payments, and even pay off student loans. So it's not surprising that the US ranks 50 in life expectancy. Skyrocketing gun violence and murder rate. Just as with the low life expectancy in the United States, it's also safe to say that the gun violence in the United States is extremely high when compared to other developed countries in the world. If you're living in the United States or planning to move there in the future, you must take necessary precautions while walking the streets due to high gun violence. The issue of gun possession has always led to huge debates over every shooting incident, with no proper solution. Murder cases in the US alone are more than 20% higher than in other developed countries. It's so bad that almost everyone expects that there will be at least one school shooting every year. Imagine how crazy it is that the US has more murder cases than you would find in a war-torn country like Iraq. Outdated infrastructure. The United States cannot boast of having the best infrastructure in the world. As it stands now, some of the infrastructures in the United States were built after the Second World War. Since then, there has been no major upgrade to reflect the reality. All you have to do is check out the 2nd Avenue subway in New York, which has been abandoned since World War II and remains uncompleted. Areas such as South Dakota, Alaska, Pennsylvania still make use of water transport pipes built almost half a century ago. Apart from this, a high percentage of bridges in the US are on life support and begging for an upgrade. Poor ranking in mathematics and science. As it stands, the United States is not among the top 5 countries in mathematics and science. Based on the current rankings, the United States ranks 27th in mathematics and 22nd in science. If the statement credited to Aaron Sorkin during the Newsroom show is anything to go by, then the United States, which is home to NASA, is really performing below expectations. Low quality of life. What's the point of being the country with the strongest military capacity and largest economy in the world, yet the citizens can't benefit from the vast resources? This is exactly the question on the lips of most American citizens, especially the bottom 50% in the country. Currently, the top 5 countries are Canada, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and Switzerland, while the United States lags behind in the 20th position. Not the best country to start up a business. From all economic indices, the United States is the biggest economy in the world. As good as this may look, the reality is the United States is not in the top 5 destinations for startup companies. According to the Doing Business research carried out by the World Bank, the United States is ranked outside the top 5 countries for starting a business and ease of doing business. Very little press freedom. No doubt the U.S. Constitution guarantees press freedom and liberty to its citizens, so you'd expect the press to operate without being gagged. Also, the United States is home to powerful media houses such as Fox News, Cable News Network, MSNBC, and The Washington Post. With this, an outsider not living in the United States or not familiar with the system will surely have the impression that the members of the press operate without restrictions. However, that's not the reality. In fact, data released by Reporters Without Borders clearly shows that the United States is ranked 47th in the spot for press freedom, a position too poor for a country that is loud about championing democracy around the globe. Now you know all about the big American life, and that's a wrap. What do you think the worst thing is about the United States? Let us know in the comments. Did you like this video? Well, we're always posting amazing content like this, so don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out. Thanks for watching.